Everyone, welcome to our first monthly project call for all the Collaborate projects. So we'll wait a couple minutes as people join, but while we do that, my name's Abby. I'm lead developer for the Mozilla Science Lab. I'm in Toronto right now. I guess that wasn't useful information. But does everyone have the Etherpad link that's in this call? I will put the Etherpad in the chat. So everyone goes there, so sign your name under the roll call under line 23, and then you can add your name in the top right-hand corner. And a reminder, this call is being recorded, so people can come watch and then see what's happening with all your cool projects and decide what to get involved in. So I know I'm waiting for a couple more of the projects to join the speaking call part. Yes, let's see. But on the call right now, we have a few of the project leads, Dimitri, Trillion. Hi, Dimitri.
Hello.
Mandar from Dynamis.
Hey, guys.
He has video, unlike these other videos.
Yay.
And we have Max from ScienceKS.
Hey, guys.
And a couple other people joined. There's Will.
Hi.
Morgan. He's been doing a lot of work in Super Badger. And Heather has joined. Hey, Heather.
Hello.
Oh, from Science Solve. Yes, I owe you an email. So actually, before we get started on the actual agenda, if you guys can fill out any friends of Mozilla Science, any new contributors to the project, anyone who's done something really cool in the past month, call them out there. And then we just want to send them some love. If you know anyone on your project that's done something cool, just write their name under line 44. So I'll wait for that to fill out a little bit more. Yeah. There's a lot more people in Etherpad than there are on this video call. So I'm a little bit concerned, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Yeah, I think we're okay. All right. Oh, hey, it's Arliss. Hey, Arliss. Arliss is our participation coordinator for the Science Lab. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to start and say thank you to the Friends of Mozilla Science. So first off, this one's from my partner. I want to thank John O'Finger. Maybe I'll share my screen. So this is the first time we're doing this for all of these projects. So we'll see how this goes. But there we have John O'Finger. He's John O'Codes on GitHub. So thank you for implementing the Paper Badger Docker at the Work at Code Fest. So Bill and I were both there. And now it's easier set up for new devs now. So if you guys want to jump in on Paper Badger, it's super easy now that Docker is involved. Good vibes there. Another friend of Mozilla, we have Nicola Rizzo. Nicola and Rizzo on GitHub. As he's a new contributor to FreeProcess, and he includes a function to extract CRISPR location in the genome from CRISPR-DB. So that's from the FreeProcess project. So he couldn't make it all, but yeah. Good job, Jono and Nicola. Yay. Okay, I'm going to stop. No, I'll keep. Yeah. I'll zoom in a bit. Okay. For project update, first project on the list is Paper Badger. Oh yeah, David builds on this. He's not in the actual video. I don't know where people are. This is very confusing to me. Anyways. Hello, everyone. For Paper Badger, this is the prototype for contributor badges. So exploring how to use badges to credit people for their work on an activity. So yeah, badges for science, exploring the use of digital badges to crediting contributors to scholarly papers for their work. So Docker has been added. That would happen this month. Yay. We also have a couple of new communication channels. So we have an email list, paperbadger-moz@googlehoops.com. I had to make two. I'm sorry if you got invited to the other one. I know Will did. But this is the one that works now and is public. We also have a new Gitter chat. I think I'm the only one in it right now. Let's open it. Yes, I'm the only one in it. But if someone is interested in getting involved in Paper Badger, you can just go to that chat and then I'll be there to talk to you. I updated the roadmap because they're no longer working towards an MVP. So this is a new thing that I'm working on, or team members are working on. So it's testing, looking at the JavaScript snippets we have, and then some stability / bug fixes. And where others can help, there's some good first bugs on line 72. You can get in touch in the chat room or mailing list. And also this pull request needs review if anyone wants to do it. I just changed the README. So now, now I put the instructions for using this widget up near the top. So if people want to come and put badges on their own site, then it's a little faster to do it. And then it's the contributing information, then getting started. So I just reordered the README. So that needs review. If someone wants to come and review that, that would be great. Thank you. Awesome. Will, do you have any updates on your side for Paper Badger? I can't hear you, Will. I think you're muted.
Sorry. I don't really, I'm afraid. No, I came to say hello and see what else has been going on, but nothing since Jono did his stuff and you worked with him on Docker at the Orchid outreach meeting. So nothing from me at the moment, I'm afraid.
Okay. Well, thanks, Will. Oh, and Max isn't getting feedback. Sorry, I have my headphones and I don't know how to fix that. Okay. And if you have any, okay, it's better now. So if you have any questions or comments, you can add them under line 77. I'll be on and I'll answer these as we go along. So if you're interested in Paper Badger, have any questions, go ahead. Up next, so Madeline's not on this call because it is Thanksgiving and she had a, I think she had a conflict. But her project is Phage Parser. So they're parsing data from NCBI DNA databases and CRISPR-DB databases to learn more about bacteria-virus interactions. So it's a really interesting project. It's actually super popular, Phage Parser. Here's the GitHub link. You can get involved there. Their issue tracker. They don't have very many good first bugs, but they have a bunch of issues that are open, so you can jump in. They have a roadmap that they use at our sprint to get you an idea of what they're doing. And they're always open to new suggestions and improvements for project setup, contributor friendliness. So if you go there and you don't really know what's going on, leave that as a comment here for Madeline. That's really good feedback. Cool. Up next is someone we do have on this call, Max. Hey, Max.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Not bad. Do you want to share your screen or just talk through this?
Yeah, just a moment and I'll share my screen.
All right, I'll stop screen sharing.
Yeah, this window looks good. All right, this should be coming in. So this has got my other window here. So yeah, during MozFest, I got acquainted with a few of the guys from Federated Wiki, which is a distributed wiki project using technologies similar to the Bitcoin blockchain, etc., to be able to keep things decentralized. And I work on this project here, Cytoscape.js, which is a JavaScript library for network analysis and visualization. And we decided to have a collaboration between our two projects to put them together. So we created this proof of concept here on GitHub. And what it does is here's a picture of it. It puts Cytoscape networks and that functionality within Federated Wiki. So we're able to represent network data, and in future what we're looking to be able to do is have richer editing capabilities of networks within Federated Wiki, and to be able to have network representations of wiki data. So for example, representing edit history, forking, and that kind of thing. And we really see this as being useful to the scientific community because networks, especially in biology, are a very natural way to model things, and being able to do it in this collaborative and decentralized way has a lot of benefits, especially with regards to maintaining data after publication, being able to hand off data so that other people can take it over or take it into different directions, being able to cite data based on how people have edited and forked things. And what we're really looking for, because this is really early days in this collaboration, we're really looking forward to getting feedback from people in terms of what kind of use cases might you guys see this Federated Wiki Cytoscape project. How would you guys see yourselves using it in different contexts, and perhaps in the sort of context that I had described previously. Maybe you envisioned particular features, etc. So we're really looking forward to your feedback and brainstorming and seeing how this kind of project might be useful for you guys. So thanks for your time, guys.
Awesome. And Max, I think you have a question. There was a question in there. How long did it take to make this proof of concept?
Oh, so the initial version we hacked together at MozFest actually in just under an hour.
That's impressive. Yeah, I saw you guys sitting in the corner, just hacking away.
Yeah, it was great, and just because it's all open source and using open technologies, it was really easy to just mash it together.
Hmm. And I do have a question, like, who uses Federated Wiki now? You know?
That I am not so sure of. I know that there are a bunch of people in science using it for various things. Obviously not networks yet, but yeah, you really have to ask the Federated Wiki guys for more information about that. And I actually do have some of their contact details, so if you have questions, you can pass them along to me, and I'll be able to forward them on.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Max.
All right, thanks for having me.
Awesome. And do you have a couple other places where people can contribute to Cytoscape, not just?
Sorry, say again, that didn't quite come through.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I know you have a couple other places where people can contribute to Cytoscape, like maybe demos and plugins.
Yeah, exactly. So there are a lot of different things that we have on, if I go here to GitHub, there are a lot of issues tracked with, well, either just general things with the library itself, but there's a lot of these project idea issues tagged, and a lot of these would be interesting and useful for external people to take a look at and maybe work on. And yeah, it would be great to get more community involvement in those kind of ideas.
Awesome. Thanks, Max. Okay, that's actually the end. Sorry, I kept asking more questions. Up next, we have Mandar with DynaML. Mandar, do you want to share your screen? Hit the screen.
Hey guys, can you hear me right? Okay, so should I just start with? So I don't think most people here would probably have an idea about what I'm working on. So maybe I should just start by saying what was kind of the aim behind this project. So my project kind of is like a spin-off of what I was working during my master's for my master's thesis at KU Leuven, and essentially it's about trying to create this modular machine learning framework where you could have a large collection of different statistical models which users can play around, so to speak, in an interactive environment. And yeah, so I guess that kind of sums it. So should I share my screen? I kind of have a couple of things I'd like to share.
Yeah, for sure. There should be a button on the left-hand side.
Okay, cool. So what I wanted to discuss this time around was actually, so this is just some code I've written. It's the idea started when I realized that a lot of data problems can actually be broken down into workflows, and I've seen many practitioners in the industry talk about this. And essentially, many of these workflows are replicable. Like you might have to pre-process the data, remove missing values, yada yada yada, normalize attributes, stuff like that. And you have to kind of decouple it, keep it separate from the code which you actually use to build statistical models from. So what I kind of did was I wrote a lightweight data piping framework. And the idea is that you kind of give it a function, and it kind of wraps a sort of pipe around it. And you can kind of compose these data pipes. So just to give an example, can everyone see my screen, the editor open?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically you see something here called FreeProcess pipe, and that's basically a place where I extract the text file, extract a text file, replace white spaces, extract training features, remove missing values, and pre-process it and package it into a format which I can use later. Now, all of these things here are essentially functions which I've written somewhere else in the code. So I can create anonymous functions on the fly or just use all the existing library functions available to me in my namespace, and I can create these configurable pipes out of it. So you kind of, you see this greater than sign over here. It's a kind of an operator I've written where you can take two or more pipes and just concatenate them like they were strings, and then you get this resultant transformation. So what I do over here, for example, is I just create a pipe for pre-processing, and after creating that pipe, I kind of use it to channel the data into a stream where I have two parallel streams, one which represents my training data and one validation, and then I kind of pipe it into the model which I want to train. And so this is kind of how broad level, high level details of what I the recent stuff that I've been working on. Another important update is I've actually updated the kind of plotting that goes behind this library. So just to give a short sample, for example, so this is the dynamical command line prompt REPL, and you can kind of use this to in an interactive way to play around with different models. And for example, I'm using something called as a Gaussian process model on a particular data set, and it just trains the model, outputs some metrics, and then produces a plot in the browser. So can you guys see my browser window right now?
No, it's just your camera.
Oh, okay. I probably have to share it again. So can you guys see it now?
Yep.
Yeah. So after I ran that command, a particular model was trained and it was validated on our test set, and you get a goodness of fit or errors from this model. And I'm using something called Wisp. It's a new Scala plotting library developed by some startup which I haven't heard of as yet. But this is pretty impressive. It kind of generates these plots in the browser, and then you can just go down and export them as a JPEG, PNG, or a PDF image.
That's cool. So DynaML is this framework that allows typing, then also it creates this visualization, did you say?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I just trying to understand what DynaML is. So it's this framework for piping that you mentioned, so you can like type the different together, and then you can also create these visualizations. It's using a library to visualize.
Yeah. So these were the two major additions that I've been working on. So I did work on an implementation of a model which was not earlier existing in Dynamal. It's called the Gaussian processes, and the two quite important additions this time on were using this new library to generate plots in the browser, and of course creating this piping framework. So the advantage is that you can have this modular way of chaining together operations, and many of them are operations which you might do pretty often. So it kind of helps to have this kind of framework where you can just chain them together and create these arbitrary transformations.
Awesome. I put a question there. Why would people use this instead of other frameworks? There's one like machine learning frameworks and stuff.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get anything in the class.
Yeah. Also Etherpad, but why would people use this over another framework? There are a lot of like machine learning frameworks out there, but I think yours is different.
Oh, yeah. So that's actually a very difficult question to answer and still be honest. So yeah, right now Dynamal is kind of in its infancy, and I wouldn't really expect it to be as effective or as wide-ranging as many of the other popular frameworks out there. But one of the advantages it has is that it's written in Scala, and that gives it some performance advantages over many bulky libraries written in R or Python. So I would say that's one reason why. If you're into machine learning and you're into machine learning with Scala, I think giving Dynamo a try is worth it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. If anyone else has questions, you can add them under line 120. And I put in what I thought your answer was there. Thank you so much, Amanda, for calling in from Belgium. Up next, there is Causal Dynamic, Dynamical Manipulation using yeah. Is Adam on the line? I don't think or is any of his representatives on here? Okay, I will do this update then. These words are hard. So it's quantize space-time on your laptop. So there's a GitHub repo there. I will share the screen so you can see what I'm reading. Yes, there's a GitHub account here, so you can see the recent update. Multi-threaded instance of automated jobs. Nice. Okay. Updates to use Speedout 4.7 and leading edge versions from GitHub. The Propolis algorithm implementation nearly complete. Debug builds fixed, no more time faults. That's always good. Experiment test bugs and reduce pattern in the code. Travis CI updated, optimizing new point allocations and new posting of the pipeline. A bunch of links here. And where can you guys help? So come in chat, they have a gift. So say hi. Okay, I'll join the room. Hi, Adam. Read analysis pipeline. I haven't even started this. The current data format is non-ideal. I'd like to use API 5, the large data sets that have been and the first step is a visualization tool. And, however, in order to set the files must be funky that only protect the overview, you can look at the slides with less presentation than this. Feel free to jump in. Awesome. Adam, you were there. I hope I did justice saying that on your behalf. But up next is Dimitri. He is here.
Hello.
Hey, Dimitri. You want to share your screen?
So the Etherpad probably is the best thing. I don't really have anything specific to show. But I can talk about kind of some of the things that have been happening lately with Trillion. So basically, Trillion, for those who are not familiar, is a project where so right now in astronomy, we have a huge amount of data that's released by different telescopes and satellites and things like that, and they're organized by wavelength. So the Hubble Space Telescope looks at a particular, just basically the visible, and another satellite might look in the infrared and so on. And so if you're looking at a particular object, like a star or a galaxy, then the observations available, publicly available for that object are basically scattered across many different archives. And so the idea with Trillion is to kind of download as much data as possible, but reorganize the data so that it's organized spatially rather than by wavelength in the sky. So if you want to look at one particular object, all of the observations are in one place, which eliminates kind of the need to go and ping many different servers, which is going to be ridiculously slow. So that's the basic idea. Been having a little bit of a problem kind of getting this off the ground a bit, and I went to a conference recently, and there were several things that we talked about that were brought up at the conference that kind of gave me the answer as to why. And part of that was also addressed at the Toronto meeting not too long ago. So one thing is that the project is still in what I'm calling hero mode, which basically means that there are a number of things that have to be done before other people can kind of jump in, and those things are on my shoulders, and so I'm basically the bottleneck. And what I need to be able to do is turn that around so that people can kind of come in and work without me having to do something first. So that's going to require a lot of documentation, which I'm hoping to do within like the next, well, I've got Christmas, but maybe the end of January. So that'll require a lot of documentation, a lot of kind of laying out what needs to be done. But the other thing that I think is important is that there are a number of people who've expressed interest and are kind of, who want to contribute. They don't, all of them will say, I don't have a huge amount of time, but I do want to contribute, and that's perfectly fine. And so I think one thing I'd like to do much sooner than later is organize an in-person meeting. I think it's one thing to send emails around, and I think it's something to put things in a wiki, and I think those are good things to do, but I don't think you can really beat like getting people in the same room and having people not get distracted by their own responsibilities and things like that. And have, like, even if it's a 2-day meeting, I think that would be really what it needs to kind of get off the ground. And a lot of these ideas are not really kind of me coming up with them out of thin air. There's a project called AstroPi, which started, I don't know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. Not quite that long ago, even. And it's basically a bunch of people in the astronomical community had written numerous Python packages for astronomy, and there was huge overlap between them. And somebody, like 2-3 people, kind of sat down and said, look, we need to organize and we need to get the community together. And so it's very similar in that sense. And I was involved at the beginning of this, and so I kind of saw this firsthand. But one of the things that really kind of cemented it as a project was getting people together. Like, there was a 2-day meeting, like an organizational meeting and a coding meeting. And that served 2 purposes. One is that it got people in the same room and they were working on the same project. And they went away with very clear tasks as to what to do, and that was very good. The second thing, and this is a little bit not as obvious, is that it showed a commitment, not strictly in addition to the people who were there, but the institutions that those people were working at were not contributing to AstroPi. Nobody was contributing to AstroPi, but they did pay for travel expenses to go to this organizational meeting. And so it's kind of an implicit support of the project, and it kind of legitimized it as a real thing, at least in the eyes of other bodies, like the employers of these people who weren't specifically funding the project. So I think that kind of has a lot of value, which is something that hadn't occurred to me before. So basically, those are kind of the things that I want to get done in the immediate future, is organize a meeting and kind of document the hell out of it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dimitri. And I know, yeah, documentation is hard, but it's really good for helping people get involved. So it's a necessary evil, almost.
It is critical, absolutely.
There's some comments there about how GitHub issues might be useful. And also, Arliss, who is on this call, he's putting together docs on how to run a local sprint, which might be really helpful for you. Arliss, are you still around? Okay. But yeah, I'm not sure what the status of those docs are. Just putting it together.
Yeah.
How are the local sprint docs going? Oh, you're muted now.
Mute. Yeah, it's what I'm working on while over these 2 days, taking a look at my document. And another person on our team, Zana, we're going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks. So.
Excellent. I will certainly find that useful. I think having a hackathon sprint thing is would really work.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting way to approach it, by starting with the sprint, just to show people that things are happening. So let us know how that goes.
I will. Thanks.
Cool. And some other people might have resources too. Oh, Heather, I think, based on the color. So that's exciting. Yeah, lots of people will let you know how to run a sprint.
Yep, that would be great.
Next, we have Collector from Mikey Garcia. I know Mikey couldn't make it, but are any of his representatives on this call for this project? Also, is my audio better? I think it is. Okay, good. That headset, you can use something fun lying around the office. But so I'm going to go through. So Collector, Mikey Garcia, this is another one of our Collaborate projects. It's been on there for a while. So this project has been going through feature factory for the past 6 months, and feature development has been slow, as happens in movie factor. We're putting their final touches on a beta 2.0 release, which will be ready for testing within a week. Documentation quality is at an all-time low, and we're certainly trying to write documentation for users and developers. So that might actually be great for people to jump in if you want to start documenting what's going on the project. With others' help, testing, since 2.0 is in beta, and security audit. It would put us at ease, have someone with security chops to verify we aren't leaving ourselves wide open to attacks. So if there happens to be a security guru on this call, I would point you towards Collector. They could really use it. And I would add documents. You can add up that. Questions, comments. What can you do to make it easier for people to contribute to the project? I'm just going to write documentation there again. Documentation. Thus, our small collaborative group has been truly made of people who take on Herculean tasks of leading the entire project and figuring it all out. Yeah. We would like to make it easier for more type of us to talk about what are best practices for making open source friendly to new devs. So I think that is something we'll be talking a bit about later in the call with the readmes, issues and stuff. Notice that readmes, issues. So if anyone else has any info for Mikey, underline 189. If you have any thoughts on this. Keep adding your comments as we go on. And that was it for our actual project update. And now, a fun section we're calling Best Practices in Open Source. Yay! So Alex couldn't make it, but in his place I have Joey Lee. Hi, Joey. He's muted right now. There we go. I can't hear you, Joey. Oh no, we can't hear him. No, you're unmuted yet. In his place, we do not have Joey Lee. So I'll go through. But I do think, here, he's putting in headphones. I'll have this discussion with all of you that are on this chat part. So people who are watching can listen to this. Hey, Joey, can you talk? Nothing. I get nothing, Joey. Okay, so we'll let Joey come back in. But yeah, the readme is often people's first introductions to projects, especially if it's hosted on GitHub. GitHub makes it very prominent with the readme there in the front.
Hello?
Yay, it's Joey!
Yeah. Hi.
So Joey,
okay, cool.
One of the Mozilla Fellows for Science this year, and he's graciously attended this call. So Joey, why do you think readmes are important in open source?
So I think a huge thing is setup. So when you're using open source tools, I think almost the biggest barrier is simply setting up your dependencies for whatever software you're trying to run. And so, you know, I'm an okay programmer, but not great. And so when somebody says, "Oh, just run this thing," that I've never heard of, it always then takes like 20 more steps to figure out how to get to that run command. And so, I mean, I'm running a Mac, so you know, there's like homebrew and all these kinds of things that make it a little bit easier. But on Windows, I have like no idea how to help any of my friends. So, that's one thing for having like a nice README just simply on dependencies, and then you get into the whole project part where you know, you're explaining what exactly your project is doing, and that not only kind of explains like how to use your product, but kind of how to gain usership. So I find that like having examples, you know, actually just an examples folder of things that kind of do small little tasks that you're kind of aiming to address are like super helpful, because I think learning through examples is one huge way that people learn. So kind of addressing all those things into a README, and there's this fancy thing called doc talk. Maybe I'll just kind of throw that in the Etherpad somewhere. Doc talk, and it's something that you can run on your README files that creates an index. So like I guess it's just called an index, but you can click on the links and it'll sort of direct you to that section in your README. So I've also found that helpful for giving people an overview and things like that. What else about READMEs?
What do you find hard about making a README?
Oh yeah, I mean the big thing is time. So the time commitment, and also stepping outside of your shoes. So I guess that as the creator of a project, you're so intimately tied with what you're reading, and when you kind of are just writing things up, you make a lot of assumptions about who your audience is and what they're going to understand. And I find that when other people can step in and say, hey, your README basically doesn't make any sense, and I have no idea where to start, I think that is like hugely important, so that you can say, like, who am I trying to kind of address, and how will I bring them in? So if you can bring people who, yeah, aren't exactly part of the project, it will help.
Yeah, I think for me the hardest part is like distinctly explaining what your project is, so that like when people look at the review, they'll know what your project is doing. I think that's really tough for me, especially when you're like domain specific words. You're like, I don't know, is this what I want? Maybe.
Right. Totally. So I think in a way, I mean, graphics always help, and I mean, I find that a lot of READMEs like can feel very official, like, and I think in my personal experience, writing READMEs kind of with my personality helps me to write more in a more approachable way. So like kind of throwing GIFs or like little jokes and stuff in, like, I don't know, maybe it's not so useful, but I find that it helps to kind of at least just write instead of trying to think so hard about like the wording, and yeah, so it's almost this kind of upgoer 5 idea. Upgoer 5.
Yeah,
Yeah, and about READMEs.
Yeah, I don't think you have a README that's slower, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think that would be my 2 cents on READMEs for now, unless you've got other burning kind of leading questions.
I think that was a good good overview. Because I think a lot of people don't realize how important a README is, especially in open source. It's, you know, it's really important. This is what everyone thinks.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I also like, maybe from my own personal experience, when I'm working with new open source software, I'll like create my own little README of how I set it up on my personal machine, and like if I'm trying to run it, like basically I went through all these steps and I got to this point and then it stopped working, and so I found those also really useful, so I don't like continue to repeat the same tasks. And maybe as a user, then it's like our responsibility to submit that and say, hey, I got this far, why isn't it working? So yeah.
And I think even just having simple things like what's the license? I know you often have a license file, but like saying what it is and say pointing to the license or pointing to the contributing file, so like how can people get involved? That's really good. So there's a few resources we have. So there's a working open guide that is in the works. So if you have something to do it, please go ahead and take the pages. On line 221 from the Mozilla Science Lab. That section is called Welcoming Newcomers, and the README is kind of APF from their software, like the government group. I don't know how to start them, but they have a really good Wikimedia guide there on like TTP, if you want to check that out. And then Al Eaton, who can join us, he put in a really good blog post about how to write a review for Thompson and said the art of writing a good review. And you have a bunch of comments here. I think a lot of them have it. But yeah, runs through Python with that stuff. And creating a script that runs through the process setting up all your different things for you. I think that's a good point. Instead of asking people to run these steps every time. So every single step less you have can really speed up people getting involved. Does anyone else on this call who on this particular part of the call? Do you have any experience with reviews or any best practices you know? All right. So, also, I forgot to say, if you are a new volunteer who's going to be on this call and you want to talk to me supporting reading, you know, this is the press, and this is put in, your name and how you want to get involved, and we'll reach out to you and see if there's a good project for you. I mean, the project on this call or with a collaborate, or just going to. So, actually, up next, Natalie is on this call. Hey, Natalie.
Hey.
So yeah, I know this is under the community updates nonverbal, but I thought I'd give you a couple minutes to talk about your project and what you do.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Cool. So yeah, I started Wallacea, which is a crowdfunding platform for scientific research, and yeah, we basically help scientists create crowdfunding campaigns, and we've been really delighted to try and help some citizen science projects. So yeah, it's been really great hearing about all the different projects today. Particularly, I really like the astrophysics one. I think that sounds really cool. And that's right. And also the machine learning, although I don't really understand how it works, but I think that sounds really cool as well. So yeah, if there's ways where crowdfunding might be helpful, or yeah, then I'd be delighted to bounce ideas around, set up a Skype call, or answer any questions now, if anyone's interested.
Awesome. So how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, yeah. So my email, I can put my email in the. Do you call it again? The Etherpad. I'll put my email there. So in the attendees thing, I'll do that in a sec. Yeah, so yeah, just drop me an email, and then I'm on the wrong page now. Yeah, that's probably the best way. Or on Twitter.
Okay. Yeah. Put your info there so people can reach you. You have a question under your update. I don't know who this was from. Wait, will it tell me? No. So I found.
Hello.
Oh,
hi, that's okay. Me. Should I just answer via voice? And I can write the answer or the question in a bit. But so I found crowdsourcing is a great way to not only raise funding but to gain support around your project, and almost like an army of people who are interested in what you're doing. And I wonder how Wallacea could integrate with things like Crowdcrafters or kind of these other crowd sourcing platforms that kind of make it easy for people to crowdsource tasks. And so if there's some sort of integration where let's say you're a researcher and you want to crowdsource in a way like Amazon Mechanical Turk, but instead of having to sort of pay back all of the funding that you made, it's sort of if you're interested in this topic, help validate this insect, or help validate this type of tree or something like that. And so I think in a way it would be cool if there was kind of a way for those things to speak together, so that it's not only about raising money, but also for developing community out of the funds that you raise and stuff.
Yeah, no, that sounds really cool, and I think that's definitely something that would be amazing to integrate. once we can, because we're a startup at the moment, so it's quite hard to have build tech for that kind of thing and build tech for crowdfunding. But yeah, definitely, that sounds like a really good idea. And one of my goals for starting it is to really help science move forward, from both the funding perspective, but also sort of an outreach and a public engagement perspective. So yeah, getting people involved in helping with projects just by giving their time would definitely be a really cool thing to integrate.
Cool.
Cool. And I have a question for Natalie too. Why would people use Wallacea over I forgot what all the other crowdfunding things are called. Indiegogo.
Indiegogo, yeah. I mean, there's different reasons, I guess. One of the things that we're trying to do is help the scientists with their campaigns and also help them find audiences who are interested in backing their projects and helping them with PR as well. So, I mean, it depends on the project, but ultimately our aim is to build a community of people who are really interested in supporting science. And so we've already done that. Well, we've already started doing that, so we can send a newsletter to all our backers when we have who back science. So, eventually we will just have a bigger and bigger community and doing something like what Joseph, what Joseph said would really help from the community building aspect as well, because so much of crowdfunding is about telling people about your project and actually getting people to come to your page. So it's a bit of a long game. At the moment, I'd say that we add value by being quite hands-on with supporting all the projects that we take on because we're quite small. But eventually, once we've built a community, I think that people, if a scientist went and crowdfunded on Kickstarter, for example, I think they can only do certain types of projects. I don't think they could do health ones, but then Kickstarter would promote, potentially, if they're one of the really top projects, promote their project to their crowd, but their crowd is predominantly interested in creative projects, whereas the crowd that we're building hopefully will be interested in scientific projects. So that's kind of the long answer.
No, that's good, and makes sense that people interested in supporting science. There's another comment from Joey, I believe.
Oh yeah, maybe I could. Oops. Hello. Maybe I can just say it again. So I think one big thing for crowdfunding also is how to create your pitch, or how do you pitch the unpitchable project. And I think for scientists, in a way, a lot of these things could be super obscure. So how do you then create some documentation, or at least some consultation on how do you take a project that could be super esoteric and make it something that people care about. And so that might be a really nice thing. And I know with Kickstarter, they provide lots of statistics on, if you post on a Wednesday, for example, the likelihood that you'll get funding is higher simply because people are bored in the middle of the week and they start exploring the web, and so there's all these kinds of things, and it would be cool to have stuff like that also added to the page.
Yeah. I like the idea also of scientists who do decide to crowdfund being able to sort of crowdsource help with their crowdfunding campaigns. So getting feedback from the crowd about how much their maybe video pitch resonates, or how much, whether people actually understand what they've written, and those kind of, and also maybe if it's crowdsourced, if there's a way of crowdsourcing the campaign page, there might be a PR person or science blogger who picks it up and writes about it without the scientists having to go through all the process of who are the science bloggers in my area and how do I reach them. So yeah, I think there's lots of things that lots of ways to grow it. But,
and I guess I'm also curious, as far as taxation goes, does simply because it's a science project, does it pull it out of the kind of typical taxing model of, like, say, Kickstarter or Indiegogo, or is it considered income, and then the researchers would have to pay tax on the income that they made? Or have you thought sort of around those questions? Just out of curiosity.
I don't think it's not income. So but in general, we transfer the money to like either a university or like a charity. So it doesn't go. It's not going directly to an individual. And yeah, so it's for the research rather than salary. But then if it's being used to pay a salary, which we haven't done yet, then there would be some tax things we'd have to figure out, but haven't figured them out yet.
Okay, cool.
Another question there from Dimitri, actually. Is there a way for large institutions to contribute funding? Dimitri, I don't know if you want to articulate that more on the call.
So I am working on a project which is not Trillion, although in the grand scheme of things it's related. It's basically a desktop application to visualize astronomical data. Unfortunately, this is not the kind of application that typically gets funded. So it's something that I've kind of been doing completely on my own. So people have suggested to me that I use Kickstarter or use something like that to fund it, because so far it's been done in my spare time without any funding. But one thing that when I talk to people from larger institutions like NASA or Space Telescope in Maryland or places like that, they don't really have mechanisms to contribute, like one-off amounts of money to projects like this. And usually the money kind of has to go to a company, or it's just kind of, I guess that's the best way to put it. There's usually no mechanism for them to do something like that. Is that something that you come across or thought about?
Yeah, no, I haven't really thought about that. I mean, obviously, it would be amazing if NASA supported a project on our site. And I think that, I think eventually that larger organizations will be interested, hopefully we'll be able to work with them and they can support projects as well as the crowd supporting projects. One of the things that I found as an early stage business is that it's quite hard working or trying to work with large organizations because they've got so much bureaucracy. And I think that, eventually it might be possible for them to contribute, but then they probably wouldn't be the first to contribute because of the bureaucracy. But I don't know, I think that, yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth trying. We've only had one sort of business sponsor so far, and that was from quite a small company. That it was for an ecology project that we funded, and I think it was from a safari lodge that gave £1,000 to the project, and I think that's the lodge that they stayed at a lot when they were doing their research. So there was that integration, but. Yeah, I think that it's for example, if you were to do a project and wanted to try and get NASA to chip in, then we'd be happy to try and help and try and talk to NASA. But yeah, I don't know how that would go. I think it would be a case of getting in touch with the right person on the right day. I don't know.
Well,
yeah.
I'm starting from a position where somebody in such an institution, says, this seems like a worthwhile thing, and we'd be interested in funding this at some nominal level, and to them, $1,000, pounds, 2,000 might be quite nominal. The issue is more that, with Kickstarter, you just put in your Visa card and then it gets charged and things like that, but they can't. That's literally something that most of these institutions can't do, and that's one of the things that I was told when I kind of contemplated this, is that people who were from these kinds of institutions said, well, they can't fund it in that way. So I think possibly the answer is some kind of shell company that way it would be an actual organization, but that would effectively just kind of pass through the money to that. And so I guess I'm saying I would probably recommend not putting off considering this, because I think it's more likely than not that you would find larger companies or organizations that can contribute to what is to them a nominal amount, but to a crowdfunding thing might be very meaningful. It's just, I guess I'm just saying, try to find some way, find out like what they require, but I think ultimately the answer will be some business, and just provide them a way to do it. I think it makes well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. That's a really good idea. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
All right, thanks, Al, and thanks for the really insightful questions, Dimitri and Joey, and thank you, Natalie, for sharing about that. It was really helpful. Really interesting to see into the space. So we're coming up on the end of our hour. So I have some questions at the bottom about this new format where we hear about a ton of projects. I know we usually deep dive a bit more in like badges, so Will, this is a very different call for you from last month. But if you leave your comments at the bottom, we're going to try this again in January. I know there's Bruno here. He's in New Zealand, so this time doesn't work very well for him. So we'll see what we can do about maybe moving the time. I don't know what we'll do. But leave your comments. Let us know how it goes. For people that are watching the recording, I hope it was useful for you to see like all the different projects you can jump in on and click on. So that was the idea of this. So that's everything I have. So thank you all so much for coming. Thank you all the speakers. Let us know how this went. Happy Thanksgiving to all of those Americans.
Yeah, I'm totally jealous of Americans having Thanksgiving. It sounds amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, it is.
Well, thank you all. So I'm going to stop the broadcast, and I'll see you all in January. Bye.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Bye.